audio, please.
It's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
You know, I think of most things in life as either a Bob Dylan or a Beatles song. But there's that one line in that one Beatles song, you and I have memories longer than the road that stretches out ahead. And that's clearly true here.
Sometimes these big CEOs, they get a little out of touch with the product. So let's go to square one. Let's go back to the basics, and I'll explain it for you, and again for some of the laymen out there.
In our entire 38-year history, we've had only 2 CEOs, and that alone makes us quite unusual.
I'm kind of a computer virgin here, Nolan. As we go through this, I hope you'll be gentle. I hope you'll be kind. All right?
Well, Windows 95 is so easy, even a talk show host can figure it out. Why don't you show us how to do it? Now, when I use the term miracle, I don't mean something that's impossible. You know, the microprocessor is a miracle. The personal computer is a miracle. The internet and its services are a miracle. So the people here have participated in the creation of many miracles.
Microsoft really wants to help to create the future and to do things that solve problems that people have and that they don't even know that they have.
Good afternoon, everybody. Everybody well? Yes? Absolutely fantastic. Well, really nice to see you all here today. You know, when I first walked in the room, I thought, oh my, they're a lovely couple. I didn't think anybody was going to show up. But I'm so glad that you're still awake and that you've decided to show up. If you've not seen me before, then shame on you. First of all. My name is Енді Malone. I'm from the UK. Actually, I'm from Scotland, not England. I'd just like to point that out. I'm an MVP in enterprise security. I specialize in the cloud and Windows Azure and Office 365 and security and all those good things. Is everybody enjoying the conference here? Yes? Yes? Are you going to come back next year and see us? Yes? Hopefully they'll let me come back as well, because I've had a great time. I love Kiev, by the way. I must admit, when I first arrived, I was scared crapless, basically. But the nice man at the airport said, no, come in, my friend. You'll have a great time in Kiev. Nobody will mug you. You'll be great. So I've had a fantastic time today. I went down to Independence Square. Is that what you call it now? Yes? I came back with money, so that was a good sign. So, no, seriously though, I've had a fantastic time, and I hope you guys enjoy the conference. So, my last session of the conference is Office 365, making that move to the hybrid world. So as I've mentioned, that's me. If you have seen me before, I'm a regular speaker at Microsoft TechEd Europe, TechEd America, Africa, and what's the other one? Dubai, Middle East, yes. So I regularly speak there. So if you're coming along this time, of course, we're going to be in Houston in Texas in about, just over a month's time, actually. So if you do get a chance to come along, it'll be very nice to see you there. And you can buy me a beer. Right. Just a reminder, I like to give love. And the way I give love is if you sign up to my Twitter account, at Енді Malone. I'm going to, at the end of today's conference, I'm going to post all my videos, all my extra bits. I've got white papers, I've got the tools from yesterday's session, and I've also got all my slides and things like that. So I will post that, I will put that in a OneDrive. That's what it's called today, isn't it? I'll put that in my OneDrive and I'll make that available to you. Okay. For a good price, of course. Okay. So today's session is all about hybrid. Now, I've been working with Office 365 for, almost 4 years now, since the days before BPOS even, as well as teaching Microsoft partners, like many of you are, worldwide. I also teach Microsoft internal staff as well. So from the US, I'm part of a small team of about 12 people, 12 trainers who have specialized in 365 ever since the beginning. And I must say that this version of Office 365 is really something quite special. It's really coming big time. The days of the PC, my friend, the days of the PC are going, okay? So the days of the dodgy free software are going. So pretty soon, it's all going to be in the cloud. So all software pretty soon, not just Microsoft, but many of the other vendors, is going to be cloud-based, okay? They're even talking about a cloud-based version of Windows. Ooh, that sounds cool, doesn't it? So obviously, getting into the cloud is one thing. But what do you already do if you've spent a whole bunch of money and you've got all this kit here, you've got this really nice shiny computer kit, you've got Windows Server, you've got your Microsoft Exchange. Do you really want to move into the cloud? Okay, well, you've got some choices. You can either just sign up to the cloud and forget this, or you can sign up to the cloud and maybe share some of this information. But certainly where I live in Europe, people are quite nervous about moving everything to the cloud, which is absolutely fine. You want control, and we want to give you control. So the way we do that is we call this hybrid mode. So it's where you've made a significant investment on-prem, on premises, and you want to take some of that skills, you want to take some of that knowledge. Maybe you want to move mailboxes to the cloud, but for, let's say for confidential reasons, maybe security reasons, you must keep some data on premises. Maybe it's a legal requirement, compliance, and so on. So that's quite important that we can do that. So this is what I'm covering here today. So when we talk about moving to the cloud, there are different types of what we call migration. So if you've got a small company, maybe 5 to 10 employees, Joe Soap, Pete the painter, Bob the builder, this is absolutely fine. You've got a server here. You're just going to move those 10 users across to the cloud, pull the plug, fantastic. We call this a cutover migration. I'm sure you've heard of this. Okay? So cutover migration, absolutely, really, really simple. The one at the very top there, by the way, is a little bit different. This is the green one, the gray one, and the blue one assumes that you're using some kind of Microsoft Exchange out there. The one at the very top is an IMAP migration. This is everything else other than Exchange. It doesn't really matter what it is, whether it's Lotus Notes, whether it's Novell GroupWise, maybe it's webmail. It really doesn't matter. Okay? This is called an IMAP migration. So then, of course, a cutover migration is the small company. Then we've got a stage migration. So ultimately, at the end of the day, the customer doesn't want any residue left on premises. They want to move everything across to the cloud. But they've maybe got a little bit more of a complex structure. So they've maybe got a few thousand employees. Maybe they're in multiple locations. So maybe they've got offices in London, one in Kiev, one in Paris, wherever. And you need to move those users across in blocks. Well, we call this a staged migration. Something quite similar is that where you've spent that money, you've already spent that investment in your organization, and you want to keep, for security reasons, you want to keep that on premises. But at the same time, you also want to move into the cloud. So moving into the cloud, certainly when you talk about hybrid mode, there are definite advantages to moving in the cloud. If you just want what we call simple coexistence, simple coexistence is great. You can share things like your global address lists in Microsoft Exchange. That's absolutely fine. Okay, so everybody can see everybody. Everybody can email, sees everybody as internal, which is great. But doing a native mailbox move, or even back again to your on-premises Exchange, this is something special. And this can only be accomplished through what we call hybrid mode. And you can see there's a whole bunch of benefits there, which I'm not going to go into here. So when we talk about hybrid, we're talking about, you need to get a couple of pieces in place. So it's a bit like playing a game of chess here. You need to get your pieces strategically placed. So first of all, how are you going to authenticate your users? How are you going to authorize your users into Office 365? Well, you need a few things in place. You need to have certificate services in place. You need to think about federation. So already we've got Office 365, already we've got Active Directory on premises. Have you had Windows Azure sessions this week? Yes, you've had some Windows Azure sessions. So you're aware of identity. Now, to be honest, Active Directory's been out there a long time. It's been over almost 15 years now. And Active Directory is tired. It's tired. Active Directory was never designed to do what it does today. Active Directory cannot natively talk to web applications. So we need to help it a little ways. Okay? And the way we do that is Microsoft have come up with this amazing thing called Windows Azure Active Directory. Steve Ballmer came up with that name. Okay? What a great name. So Windows, or WAD. So we've got WAD on premises, Windows Active Directory, and in the cloud we've got WAD, Windows Azure Active Directory. Okay, so we need some kind of mechanism to talk to each other. Now, as you know, if there are any Active Directory gurus out there amongst you, you'll know that Active Directory uses technology like LDAP, Lightweight Directory Access Protocol, and it also is based on X500 directory format. All sounds very good. Okay, the problem with that, though, is that was designed for this. It's not designed for this. So we need this some person in the middle here. So we call this Active Directory, my brain's just gone completely blank. Yeah, we call this Active Directory, help me out here. Thank you very much. Yes, ADFS, Active Directory Federation Services. So essentially, Active Directory Federation Services is what we call a secure token service. So it's that nice guy in the middle that passes your credentials into Windows Azure Active Directory. So as well as that, we also need some way of getting those user accounts into the cloud. And the mechanism that we use for that is a tool called DirSync. Now, DirSync is just a very, very simple tool. It goes, it gets. That's all it does. It goes, it gets. And it basically provisions our user accounts into the cloud. Now, if you're not using federation services and you just want to use DirSync, for example, for provisioning purposes, that's absolutely fine. But one of the great benefits of using both of these things together is that you basically provide single sign-on for your organization. But Andy, I believe that there's two ways of doing single sign-on. You're absolutely right, there is. You can use DirSync and tick that little checkbox for password sync, which is absolutely fine for a small, medium-sized company. Okay? However, it doesn't scale wonderfully well. And what it essentially does is it hashes the password, rehashes the password, and then stores that secondary hash in the cloud. Okay, so your password's not stored in the cloud, but it stores that secondary hash in the cloud. However, if you're going for something like full hybrid mode, then you really do need Active Directory Federation services and DirSync both in place. So as well as the identity, you can see here in the diagram, you need certain hybrid roles. So as well as ADFS and my DirSync, which provides the single sign-on and so on, there's one additional server that you'll need as well. Now this is, here we've got Exchange 2013, and the great thing about this particular one is it needs to be configured as what we call a CAS server, Client Access Server role. Now the good news is it's free, so you get a free license for this. Okay, so you don't need to worry about that. Likewise, if you're using Link, you also get a Link license with it as well. Now the thing about the CAS server is it acts between an intermediary between your on-premises Exchange and what you've got in the cloud in Office 365. So I'm often asked, Andy, does that mean that I need to have, my customers got Exchange 2003 or Exchange 2007. Does that mean I'm going to have to upgrade to 2013? Of course not. Of course not. You don't need, you can keep that. That's fine. You just need this intermediary product in the middle, okay? This CAS server. So it can be either Exchange Server 2010 with Service Pack 3 and above, or it can be an Exchange 2013 box. Okay, so you can see here, it's really all to do with choice. So it's either going to be, are you looking for a cutover, a staged, or that hybrid configuration? So with the hybrid configuration, you're really talking about a long-term investment here. You're talking about, obviously, you don't want to throw this kit away that's cost you a lot of money. You basically want to move it over to the cloud. So again, it's all to do with the amount of time that it's going to take. Obviously, a simple cutover migration is going to take a very short space of time, whereas a hybrid, it can take a little bit longer. Now, one of the things that Microsoft is talking about at the moment is something called fast deployment. So obviously, you know, you've got your mailboxes here, you've got all your users here, but you want to get users up there in the cloud as quickly as possible. A really quick way to do it is just enable DirSync and password sync. Get them moving, get them into the cloud. So once they're in the cloud, you can then start thinking about Active Directory Federation services. You can then start thinking about, okay, let's migrate the mailboxes across. But the key thing here is they're up and running right away. They're using Office 365 right away. And remember, with the E-plan with Office 365, with the enterprise plans, you also get that software. You get the Office 2013 Professional Plus, or OPP as we call it. Okay, so features, of course. So you've got that DirSync, password sync. Get them into the cloud as quickly as possible, and then you can extend the services by using and implementing advanced technologies like Active Directory Federation services. So when we talk about preparing to go hybrid, you need to think about a few things. The Federation Trust needs to be in place between your on-premises and in the cloud. You need to think about, well, the benefits are that you have a fully integrated admin experience. I remember when I first started teaching Office 365, and it was all PowerShell. Who knows PowerShell? Who knows? Yeah, come on, raise your hand. Who loves PowerShell? Come on, who loves it? You are so sad. Okay, you are really so sad. You need to get out more, seriously. Okay, so, but the thing is, when I first started teaching Office 365, doing a hybrid migration, it was like 50 or 60 PowerShell commands. It was painful. In fact, the only people that could do well is if you had a degree from McDonald's, then you've got a good chance of learning PowerShell, you know? The other benefit, native mailbox move. So that means that you can have 10,000 mailboxes over here, and you can move them when you want. when it suits you. You don't need to bring them all across and panic. Okay, you can bring them across one at a time. Okay, so hybrid requirements. It must be a minimum of Windows Server 2003 Forest functional mode. Obviously, higher would be better. You need to have full DNS, and you need to verify your DNS name. So when you go into Office 365 and you basically sign up and you register your domain name, Microsoft will give you a little unique number. It's like MS equals MS 123456. You need to then paste that into your DNS as a text record, okay? And then, boom, you're alive. Office 365 can see you. So once you've done that, of course, one thing that you've got to remember is that WAD doesn't know Windows user accounts. So when you log on as Contoso/administrator, WAD has absolutely no idea what that means. So in each user account in Active Directory, we basically log on using the user's UPN, or user principal name, email address, yes? So as long as you've got a verified, valid email type address, you can use that to log into the cloud. Okay, DirSync needs to be in place for hybrid, of course. ADFS 2.0. Just one little gotcha, by the way. If you are using Exchange 2003, the one gotcha is that you can't use Outlook 2003. Outlook is dead now, just like Windows XP. XP is dead in a few days' time, actually. Dead and buried. Okay, bye-bye Windows XP. Bye-bye Server 2003. Okay. So, first things you need to do, sign up for that Office 365 account. And, you know, remember the one thing about 365, it's a rolling subscription. So it's quite different to the software that you've had before. You know, in the past, you know, you purchase a piece of software, you own that software for life. Of course, now you don't. It's a rolling subscription. But with that comes lots and lots of benefits, okay? So register your company's DNS name, deploy Office DirSync, install that Exchange server in that client access server role. So once you've done that, then you can start thinking about, okay, running that hybrid wizard, getting Exchange connected. So preparing for hybrid, just a quick look then in Office 365 here. So I've got my domains here if I go into my domain. So one of the things that you need to do, well, actually, let me just run Zoom it here. This is quite a nice little tool from Mark Rusinovich. So you can obviously add a domain here. So once you've added the domain, you'll be offered a unique number, and you need to then add that to your DNS record. So once that's been verified, then you're pretty much good to go. Just a reminder that if you sign up to Office 365, your data is stored within the European Union, so it doesn't get replicated to the US. So don't worry about the NSA. Okay. The other thing, excuse me, it's also replicated to the Amsterdam data center as well. So the video that I played at the beginning, some of those scenes were actually filmed in the Dublin data center, by the way. So once you've created your accounts, once you've created your users, the next thing is you might want to go ahead and install DirSync, and this is all done here. You can see I can enable DirSync, I can set that up, and I can also, it talks about single sign-on here, and with single sign-on, it's essentially a number of steps. It walks you through the whole process, and this is what we're going to do now. You can't see that, can you? Great. Ta-da! I don't know, a strange projector. It keeps, every time you go into the Internet Explorer, it flips over. Okay. Yeah, it must be Russian. Okay. So the next one, let's see. Okay, so the next thing that we need to think about then is that all-important identity. So as I've mentioned with Active Directory natively cannot talk to web applications. It doesn't work. It needs help. So the way that we do that is we use Windows Azure Active Directory. Now, Windows Azure Active Directory is not Active Directory. I don't care what anybody says, it's not Active Directory. What it actually is, it's based on lightweight directory services. Remember LDS, lightweight directory services, formerly the artist known as Adam, Active Directory Application Mode, and a little bit of SQL Server thrown in there as well, by the way. So, basically, it's a little bit like, well, to give you an idea, I have a few people that go to me, ooh, I'm not putting my Active Directory in the cloud. No way, no way, no way. That my stuff's secure. I'm not putting that in the cloud. Okay, rest easy, my friends. You're not putting your data in the cloud. What's happening is a little bit like you're going fishing, yes? You take a fishing rod with a hook on it, and you basically throw it out there. So essentially what you're doing is you're hooking into Active Directory, but you're only pulling across specific attributes, okay? So you're not pulling the entire object across, only specific attributes into the cloud, okay? And this is all controlled and managed through DIRSync, okay? Directory synchronization. So, customized version of lightweight directory services. Every Office 365 customer is an Azure customer as well, by the way. It's designed to meet the cloud applications. So it's designed to be that translation matrix between your network and the cloud out there. Okay, think of it as a fish on a hook, yeah, so you get the idea. Okay, so ADFS. Active Directory Federation Services is the nice man in the middle, okay? It's the good guy in the middle. So basically, you've got your Active Directory here, and this group here, you are in Windows Azure, and at the moment you have no idea who each other are, okay? I mean, they do look a little bit dodgy, don't they, over here, I would say. So essentially what we have is I'm in the middle here, Andy over here, which is a great name, Andrew, sorry, which is a great name, by the way. Basically, he wants to talk to you over here. So what does he do? He installs Federation services at his side, and that proves that it's genuine because it can only communicate through HTTPS. So he generates an outgoing claim token to say that we have an agreement. So I then take that outgoing claim token over here, and you look at it and you go, oh, I know Andrew, he's a great guy. Absolutely, he promised to buy me 10 pints of vodka, so no problem. Okay, so you say, I'm going to give him an acceptance token. So I pass him the acceptance token over here. Great, we can both talk to each other wonderfully. You can drink as much vodka as you like, by the way. By the way, I don't want to say this mean here in any way, but whoa, you've got strong vodka here, by the way. Okay. I thought we had strong whiskey in Scotland, but boy, you've got strong vodka. Okay. Okay, so provides on-premises, and that's the key thing here. So you're not losing control. You have control on premises. You're the man, okay? So you control your users. You can say how they log into the cloud. You set the password policies. You're in control. So one of the things we need to do, of course, is we need to install Active Directory Federation services. So on this box, I've got Windows Server 2008 R2. I've just downloaded ADFS, and I'm actually going to go in now and set this up. So when you install it, it says, do you want to deploy it as the Federation server or as a proxy server? For this demo, I'm going to say Federation. And you can see it goes ahead and it says, yep, I want to just download all the extra bits as well. And as quick as anything, woo, it installs. Okay, now I'm not going to run the wizard because I haven't set up the certificates yet. So one of the things that you have to do is you have to set up a web certificate. So I'm going to go ahead into my IIS web services here, and I'm just going to expand this out. I'm going to go down to my server certificates, and one of the things I want to do is I want to create that certificate. I need to create the certificate first. So I'm just going to go ahead and fill this in. This is my company name here. And I'm going to say, okay, my organization. I could just, anything you want. You could say anything really. Give it a name. Say where you're located. Okay, looks good to me. And I'm going to go next. Give it a friendly name. So you need to specify the certificate authority, of course, and in this case it's my on-prem, it's my local certificate authority, and I'm going to give it a friendly name. Okay. I know I've made a typo, but it works. Okay, so I go finish, and I've now created that certificate. So of course now what I need to do, bearing in mind that this is Windows Server 2008 R2, I'm now going to just flip over to my default website settings. I'm going to go to bindings, and I now need to bind that certificate to port 443, of course, because that is the SSL port. So I'm just going to go and add this. So HTTPS, it automatically detects my certificate. There it is. And click OK. Now that I've done that, because if I wouldn't have done this, by the way, SSL would have flaked out and it wouldn't have let me install ADFS. Okay, so now that I've done that, I'm going to go ahead into my Active Directory Federation services. And you now need to configure it. So we're going to say, yep, I want to go ahead and configure it. Do you want to install it either as a standalone server or as a farm? So with a farm, by the way, you can load balance it. And that's definitely the way that I would always go. In this little demo here, I'm just doing a single server. You would never do this in a real world situation. You would always have at least 2 ADFS servers. A proxy server, by the way, so you can install an ADFS proxy server. It's considered not good etiquette to expose an ADFS server to a public-facing firewall. Okay, so there we go. I've now installed my Active Directory Federation services. So what does this mean for signing in? Okay, well, down here I've got Bob. Okay, and Bob needs access to Office 365. So he comes, he knocks on the door of Office 365, and 365 says, I have no idea who you are. You need to be authenticated. So you go to the authentication platform, and again it says, hang on, we have an agreement with your ADFS server. So you need to be authenticated here. You then get an outgoing claim token. That claim token is then passed to the authentication platform at Microsoft, and it goes, oh yes, we know who you are. Here's an acceptance claim token. So he then takes that claim token back, passes it to the exchange, and everything's marvelous. So DirSync, the directory synchronization tool, is essentially a great tool because it just goes, it pulls the user accounts into Office 365, and that's great. It's one way, by the way. Now, does it have to just be one way? Of course not. So you can, in a hybrid type scenario, so any changes that you make in your Exchange environment, obviously you want to get them replicated back to 365. So this is essentially what DirSync does. It enables that really important coexistence. And it's definitely an enabler for hybrid mode. So it provides out of the box a one-way sync, and also you can also have a two-way sync in a hybrid type scenario. So I mentioned that it's the fish on a hook. So when we connect to Microsoft Exchange for hybrid mode, you also get these additional attributes coming into, which are replicated into Windows Azure Active Directory. Okay? In terms of setting it up, really, really easy. So let's go ahead and install it. So I'm just going to go into my Office 365 here again. I'm going to go up to my users. And I'm going to enable Active Directory's synchronization, DirSync. And obviously, it tells you what to do. So I just need to download it. So I'm just going to go and save as. Again, this particular demo is on a Windows Server 2008 R2 box, but it's pretty much the same. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and run the DirSync wizard now. And it says, okay, yep, I accept the agreement. Fantastic. Always read the EULA, of course. Okay, now, that error doesn't exist anymore, by the way, because you used to have to wait 24 hours. You don't need that anymore. So I now log in with my online services account at Microsoft. So this is my on-prem, my on-Microsoft account, my administrator account. And I also now need to install this or put in my on-premises credentials as well, so my local credentials. Originally, by the way, you couldn't install DirSync on a domain controller. You now can. So with the latest version of DirSync, you can install it on a DC. But many, many people tend to just install it on a standalone box. Okay, so that's the magic option there. Do you want to enable Exchange hybrid mode? So yes, I do. So I'm just going to go ahead and install this. And if I would have said, okay, I want to install password sync, again, there's a little checkbox there as well. In this case, because I'm using Federation services, I don't need that. Okay, so that is the, do you want to synchronize now? I do. Okay, so it just tells me, this will occur every 3 hours. I'm often asked, Andy, can you change that? Can you increase that time? Of course you can increase it. The danger there, though, is if you decrease that time, what will happen is that the attributes, they will start getting messed up and things start going horribly wrong. So I would never reduce that time. Definitely, certainly lengthen it by all means, but I would never reduce that time. Okay, so we have talked about, what have we got? We've got Identity Federation now. So we've got ADFS and we've got DirSync. So our Active Directory is talking with each other. So at the moment, though, Exchange doesn't know about Office 365. Yes, we've got basic synchronization, things like the global address list, but fundamentally, Exchange at the moment does not know about Office 365. So the next step is getting Exchange to talk to Office 365. So again, where do you start? Well, it really depends on the versions of Microsoft Exchange that you're working with. So we can support 2003, 2007, 2010, and of course 2013 there as well. So hybrid deployment, you can go for 2003, 7, 10, and 13, or you could just simply go cloud only. How on earth do I make such a decision, Andy? It's so complex. Well, you can use this little tool. This is called the deployment guide. Okay, so there's a brilliant Exchange deployment guide that you can get out there for free, by the way. Although I'll sell you a copy if you like. And basically, this will help you make your decision. This is great, by the way, if you're going out to customer site. So if you're on customer site, maybe you're doing some consulting, you can run the deployment guide or the deployment tool on their premises, and it will give you a nice report of what's going on their environment. The other thing to mention, by the way, as well as this tool, in the Office 365 portal, you've also got, at the very bottom on the left-hand side, you've got something called Tools. And there's a great tool called OnRamp, by the way. And the idea is it gets you into Office 365 pretty cool. Now, for those guys that, and ladies, of course, that love PowerShell, then you can do all of this in PowerShell. So when we're talking about you running the migration wizard, going hybrid, again, all the tools that I'm going to show you here, so all the GUIs have their corresponding PowerShell commands. Because, of course, in the modern world now, basically all your GUIs, your UIs, user interfaces, sit directly on top of PowerShell. So everything is exposed to PowerShell in 365. So the next thing then is we want to obviously run the hybrid wizard here. Now, this is in Exchange 2013, and you think, wow, this just looks like Office 365. It does, with one slight difference. On the bottom, you can see it's got servers, it's got public folders, and it's got that important hybrid option at the bottom. So I can go ahead and I can click on hybrid, and I would then go create, and I want to create this. Now, you can see here's one I've actually made before. Just to save a little bit of time. So again, I've just got a UK account here, so I'm going to go and just modify this setting. And I'm going to go next. And it says, okay, what do you want to do? Do you want to configure client access mailbox server, or do you want to configure an edge server? So I'm just going to go ahead and accept the defaults here. And again, are you just going to have the situation where you have, how do you want your mail routed? Do you want it routed through a server in the on-premises, a server in the cloud? Okay, so the chances are it's probably going to be an on-prem server. Okay, you need to specify the name of your local Exchange server, which is on-premises, so that's fine. And of course, you now need to think about, okay, obviously once that's been verified, just give that a second, and then I'm going to go ahead and click next. Obviously, you need to have Exchange Enterprise admin rights for this, as well as your Office 365 user account there as well. Okay, so very important, just like ADFS and Dursing, you need to have the appropriate certificates in place. So you can see here that the certificate that we're using is a publicly accessible certificate. So Microsoft have an arrangement with GoDaddy. So if you don't have an SSL certificate, you can go ahead and you can purchase one there. And that's absolutely fine. So you can select the certificate. Again, I'm just choosing the one that I've got. In this case, I'm going to go next. Okay, the name of your mail server. Again, I'm just going to accept that. You need to put in your organization name, of course, because I'm essentially connecting it. So what this is essentially doing, it's very like ADFS. For Active Directory. This is pretty much doing the same. It's creating this organizational relationship between the on-premises server and the all-important cloud server here. So I need to put in my credentials here for my on-premises domain and my password, and likewise also for my Office 365 account here. So this is what's creating that relationship. So this is your on Microsoft account. So whatever your mycompany.onmicrosoft.com, and again I just put in my my password here. Okay, so this looks good. I'm just going to update it, and that's fine. I don't need to worry about running the wizard fully because it's already run actually. Okay, so it says there we have it. We've got Exchange Hybrid in place. Again, the organizational relationship is in place. I'm just going to pretty much accept it. Okay, and we're good to go. Okay, so as I said, you could have done that through PowerShell, but that very, very simple wizard now does it in what took 50 steps in PowerShell. You can now do that in 6 or 7 simple clicks. Okay. So one of the things that you need to know, or that your customers need to feel confident about, is obviously when you start moving mailboxes within from on-premises into the cloud, security needs to come to mind. So one of the things that it's important to understand is that, first of all your mail stored in Exchange Online. So at the data centers, all the databases, all the logs, everything are stored with BitLocker drive encryption. So everything's encrypted locally. Between on-premises and in the cloud, your traffic is routed through secure transport. So you've got EAP TLS security, okay? The encrypted authentication protocol, TLS transport layer security. So 128-bit encryption, essentially. So you have that confidence in knowing that if I was listening on Wireshark, which I never do, by the way, I would have real problems picking out that email. So just a couple of things to remember about secure mail. As I've mentioned, all email between Exchange and on-premises is secure using TLS. Internal mail going from Exchange must go through a gateway, a third-party gateway. If you're using Exchange Online Protection, which is absolutely fabulous, by the way, there's a little note there at the bottom of that slide, just a little rule that you can put in that basically forces everything to go through Exchange Online Protection. A couple of things, of course, you need to make sure that you've got the correct auto-discover in place. So DNS and certificates are the key here. How are we doing for time? We're okay. Okay, things to remember about centralized transport. Basically, this is all built on secure mail. So security is at the very core and the very foundation of what Microsoft are doing here. And again, FOPI is part of that. Now, you remember the older version of Office 365. Did anybody ever used FOPI, Forefront Online Protection for Exchange? Did you ever use it? No, it was horrible. Okay, it was a very, very awkward interface. This version, though, they've really, really cleaned it up, and it's very, very slick, very, very fast. And again, the nice thing is it's all part of Microsoft Exchange Online now. Okay, so the next thing, the final kind of thing that we talk about, now that we've actually got our hybrid in place, so we've talked about the identity part of it, we've talked about directory synchronization, we've talked about actually running the hybrid wizard. The next thing is actually performing a hybrid migration. So one of the nice things about, or the one that this kind of sticks out, is that with the cutover and where you've got a number of mailboxes, so a simple and a more complex type of migration. So where the customer wants to remove any mailboxes on-prem, so with that cutover migration, everything comes across to Office 365. And then you essentially just pull the plug. But with this type of migration, or this type of coexistence with hybrid mode, you can move mailboxes to the cloud, but you can also move them back again as well. So it really gives you that flexibility that the other types of options don't have. Okay. Again, this is supported with 2010, 2013 as well. So there is it's a very simple wizard. Andy, can I use PowerShell? Of course you can. So if you want to use PowerShell scripts, if you want to script all of this, of course you can. And I got to tell you, by the way, you don't need to write all those scripts. If you go to the support site on Office 365, there's pages of the things. So you can just download the scripts, just edit them a little bit, and run with those scripts. So if you're trying to migrate, 50,000 users, for example, absolutely fantastic. Okay, so managing Exchange in hybrid mode. So in hybrid mode, of course, Exchange Online and Exchange On-Prem are the same. Okay, so you basically manage everything from on-premises. So you don't need to go into Exchange Online. So everything is managed from your on-premises. So you create mailboxes here, you create your users here. If you want to move them to the cloud, you move them to the cloud from here. Okay, so performing a hybrid mailbox move. Again, I'm in the Exchange Admin Center in Office 365, and I go to my Mailboxes tab, and you can see I'm in the migration. So in here, I've got two choices. I can either migrate to Exchange Online or from Exchange Online. So I'm going to say, hey, this sounds good. It just gives you a little description here. It says I can do a simple, I can do a staged migration, and I can also do a hybrid migration. The cutover migration, by the way, in this mode is disabled. You can see that because I'm already in hybrid mode. So I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to say, okay, I want to create a new, what we call a new migration batch. Essentially, that's a complex name for a job. So which user do you want to bring across? I'm going to bring across Bill Gates. So I'm going to bring Bill G's account across. So at the moment he's on premises. And I'm going to go, yeah, this is the account that I want to bring across. So I'm going to go next. Can I do more than one? Of course you can. You can script this with PowerShell. Off it goes. So you've selected the mailbox that you want to run. And you'll notice, by the way, when you selected the name, it was the fully qualified domain name as well. Okay, so this is the new migration batch field. Just give it a name. Again, where do you want it to go? So at the moment, you can say, do we want the job to automatically start, or do you want to schedule it? Again, I'm just going to say, yeah, just go for it. I'm just going to automatically start the job, and off it goes. Okay, so this, depending on the amount of email that Bill G's got, which I would imagine is quite substantial, will take a little bit of time to come across. So you can go in at any time, you can have a look, you can see how many items he's got to move across. Again, it specifies the endpoint, where it's coming from, and also there's a little reports area as well that you can go in and you can actually view the reports. Just to remind you, and then it's just a case of waiting, and that's it completed. Okay. Now, just a couple of things to mention about moving. So when you move mail, typically into Office 365, you can't have attachments with attachments more than 35 megabytes. So a maximum attachment size in 365 is 35 megabytes. Okay? Mailbox sizes for the E-plans are 50 gig. Okay? So 50 gig is the maximum size. Although I do believe that Microsoft are talking about now extending that a little bit like SharePoint, where you can buy more space, but we're just waiting on details on that. Other things, Andy, are there some gotchas that I need to think about? So yes, there are definite gotchas that I've experienced. First of all, you need to plan and prepare for this. It's really, really important. I'm just going to flip across into my 365 here. And I'm just going to come back to my dashboard. You can't see that, can you? So there we go. I'm just going to move up. There you go. As I mentioned, this tools area down here on the bottom left, if I click into here, there are some really nice things here that a lot of people don't know about. So you've got this on-ramp tool. So as I said, this is fantastic for going out to customer site, and basically it connects to the customer's environment, and it's just a wizard process, and it basically makes some really nice recommendations. So you've also got things like the best practices analyzer. It keeps saying that that's in beta, but actually it's not. It actually works now. So there are there's also a connectivity analyzer there as well, which is a little bit like the Exchange connectivity analyzer. Now, as well as this, Andy, are there any good third-party things that you can use? Yes, there are. If I can find them, I've got so many links. There are some good websites. So if you want a very simple way of moving to 365, this is quite a useful tool. This is Cloud Migrator. Again, everything's through a cloud interface, which makes it really nice. There are also, where is it? Can't find it. You can never find it when you're under pressure. Oh yeah, there we go. Migration Wiz. Yes? So Migration Wiz, that's one of my favorites as well. Again, this is probably the least cost-effective method of doing it. And this it's a completely web-based. It connects, it migrates. It's absolutely fantastic. So take a look at those extra tools there. Yeah. Okay, so plan and prepare. Clean house. So if you're going to move to Office 365, then, don't bring all the crap across. You need to get rid of any old stale accounts, any mailboxes that you have here, any mailboxes that have got attachments with large attachments, they're not going to come across. So stale stuff, you want to get rid of that, okay? Don't bring that back, don't bring that stuff across. Watch out for the attachment limit, like I just said. Make sure that DNS records, I cannot tell you, I do consulting and I do support all over the world with Office 365. This is definitely the biggest gotcha, okay? Well, the nice thing about DNS now is in Office 365, when you assign your DNS to Office 365, it actually tells you, it gives you the instructions, it shows you what records that you need. So now there is no excuse, okay? So again, just read the instructions and basically do what it says. Definitely, but legacy systems. So if you've got older systems, if you're working with, that's one of the things, by the way, that's really important. When you sign up to Office 365, you are making a commitment, okay? You are making a commitment to keep those systems updated. That's a requirement. It's an actual part of the agreement, okay? So you need to make sure it's patched, service packed, and so on. All right? Deploy ADFS and DirSync, and again, the minimum is that Exchange Server 2010 with Service Pack 3 or Exchange 2013. And of course, we've now got Service Pack 1 for Exchange 2013, which brings lots of nice new things as well. Oh yes, this is a good one, by the way. Never let your digital certificates expire, Microsoft. October last year, that's why Outlook.com went down. Okay, that's true. Okay, there was a digital certificate that somebody didn't update. So if you're deploying, how many of you are consultants, by the way? How many of you are consultants? Okay, none of you. Okay, what do you do? Okay, if you are a consultant and you're supporting your customers, okay, and you install an SSL certificate for them, take a note of when that SSL certificate's going to expire. Otherwise, it will come up and bite you. okay? It's a real nightmare, okay? And then finally, the domain deletion issue. If you've registered your domain with Office 365 and you think, yeah, you know, I'm not going to need this anymore, never just leave it, okay? Remove the objects from it and remove the domain from Office 365. Otherwise, it could be a painful experience, all right? And then finally, drink lots of coffee and Red Bull, yes? And work on it. Anyway, I put in some tools. There are some good third-party tools there. I'm going to make some tools, some extra material available to you through my extras. How do I get those extras, Andre? Oh, I'm really glad you asked that question, okay? You need to sign up to my Twitter account, okay, at Andy Malone. And this afternoon, when I go back into that little room over there, what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a folder in my OneDrive, and I'll make all these tools and videos and goodies and things available to all you guys. All right? Because you're nice people and I like you. So, yeah. And I'm not going to charge you. It's free. Okay? Okay. And that's me. So, thank you so much for coming to my session. It's been a blast. Okay? I've loved Ukraine. I'm going to miss you guys, but all the best. Enjoy the rest of the conference. I'm Andy Malone. Thank you so much. Thank you.